Hi guys, thanks so much for watching Speaking Of. I'm Stephanie and I'm excited today. We're having Mystic and Chris DuRant, and they are a husband and wife book and illustrator duo. And they just released their first book called Bonus Mom, Bonus Mom. So thank you guys so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, I love the idea of this because I don't feel like there are many books about bonus mom. And obviously bonus mom means stepmom.
Correct.
Yes.
What in the world made you think that this was something that really needed to be shared and told, and just why was this an important book for you to write, and why start with this?
Well, so when I got divorced, whenever you split everything up, all the books I had for her were all, I love you, Dad, Dad, come hug me. It was all that kind of stuff. And as I was reading them to her at night, I realized there was just nothing for Mystic to read to her. And, I wanted to create that bond however I could. And so I just came up and her and her friend had kind of came up with the bonus mom thing. They hated that evil stepmom kind of sound that comes with it. And so it really just, I sat down one day and it just hit me, and I started just jotting down some notes, and things started flowing, and it became kind of this cute little book. And so when I finished it, I went online and just found some random pictures to kind of illustrate it. And I printed it out on regular paper and stapled it, and that was the book. And it sat there, and she read it to her, and we kind of played with it, and it just kind of became an afterthought after that. I really didn't think anything else of it other than for them to read. And we started working on, I started playing around with some other books that I was doing, and eventually I just said, if I don't ever publish one of these books, I'm just going to regret it. It's just, they're going to sit here and they're going to get thrown away, or they're just going to get lost, and it's never going to be something to accomplish. And so we started attacking this one, and working our way through it and piecing it together the best we could, and it turned out, I think, pretty well for this first one. So
That's really great. What was the biggest lesson?
The editing part was very difficult.
Was it because Mystic edited it? Did she make it difficult, or
Right, that was, yeah, exactly right.
No, it was the book. It was the picture idea. When I sat down, I thought, how can we do? I can't draw good enough to be consistent to draw pictures over and over again. And
we actually looked. We asked around and tried to find people that would help us illustrate the book, because that's really the hardest part. Do we illustrate it? Do we take pictures? What's the best way to show what it is that we're talking about in the book? And so that was the longest part of the whole process, was trying to figure out the illustration part.
So we decided to sit down and do a photo shoot. I said, let's just go out and we'll stage these photos, and then we'll edit them and make them as cartoony as we can. And that way, that'll kind of get our first book out that way. And so that's what we did. But when you go to self-publish, there's a lot of different ways to do it, and Amazon just seemed like the easiest way to do. And so that's where we headed. And we just, as you edit the book and you get things going with it, and she'd work on it at night, and you go on there and load it up, and then it'd skip pages, or things wouldn't be lined up correctly. And some of them want you to put it in as a PDF, other was a Word document, and you have to just kind of figure out what fits best. And so that was, once we got all that loaded, we realized the size of the book, we had to go resize the whole book to the 6x9, and it everything off. And so she spent days redoing all of that. So it was a lot to learn. I mean, we know next time when we do another one, it'll be a lot easier to do. So
what was it like when you finally got it? Did you get a copy? Did they send you one so that you can
No.
Yeah.
No. So we got the book. We finally published the book, and we're super proud of it. The very first one, well, we published the book, and then we ordered a copy immediately, because they have
the ebook.
Well, oh, that's true.
Yeah, we did the ebook
So
first.
we published the ebook first, because that was the easiest thing to do. That was a little less formatting problems, and you just upload it and it's live. But of course, for this type of children's book, you want a book physically to read to somebody in the room with you. So we knew that we needed to get it actually published as well. And so that, from publishing the ebook to actually being able to publish the paperback, was about a month long. And that's what he was talking about, all those steps and redoing and fixing and figuring it out. Got the book in, and we were like, oh no, it wasn't what I was expecting. And learn as you go. So we, when I do pictures, I do everything matte, because glossy's weird. It's like, 1980. So I was like, well, the cover needs to be matte, the inside needs to be matte, and it came in, and it was just really dull. And then I wanted to fix the cover itself so that there was no, so it had a bleed. There was nothing around, no border around the outside. The back, of course, we were able to update because we saw the back was blank, which I knew it was going to be. And so it was a good dry run. We got the first one in, and then we could make changes and updates. And so we did all of that, made it glossy. Now I learned children's books are glossy, and placed the order. It came in wrong, the first one, right? We were like so disappointed. We're like, this is so, oh my gosh. So then we reordered this again, and then so it finally came in, and I mean, it was great. It was better than I expected. And so that's when we decided we could post and tell people about it, and everyone could start ordering. So yeah, it was definitely an interesting process to learn along the way. But going forward for future children's books, some that he's already written about our sweet puppy, it'll be a lot easier and a little bit faster process to get those published and in the market.
What are your top 3 tips for, in your head, what's most important after going through that experience?
Honestly, I think trying to be as genuine as you can. It was very fast to write. It really just kind of laid itself out there for me. And it's continued to do that with some of the other ones. I'm actually working on a bonus dad book right now that I'm about 6 lines away from having that one done. So I just kind of sit down and it hits me. And so that was like really just being genuine about it is the one thing. 2, if you can set up the photos yourself and do your own pictures and edit them yourself, I think that's probably better for starters, because I was very apprehensive about paying an illustrator up front and then not selling a book and having to feel like I owed them money. I didn't want to do that. So that was another thing that I noticed was the pictures, and then having a good editor, someone that will take the time to look through it and critique it and give you the honest opinions important. I mean, that, because you hate to write something that someone's going to look at and say, this is not good. I don't want to read it. So, that was.
Yeah,
important.
editing is important, and I'm a perfectionist. So for me, it's like the perfect job because I want it to be perfect. I want it to look perfect. I want it to look legit. I'm happy that we could take his vision of writing and make it. I mean, who would have ever thought we would have published a children's book? I mean, it's a crazy concept to think of. You think of like Shel Silverstein or Dr. Seuss, like those are children's authors, not us. But we did it, and it's really exciting to have something that we can show people and say.
I think you just don't really know where things are going to lead sometimes. Looking at the back of the book, it said that you were Marine and you did, I think it said 3 tours of duty post 9/11. I don't think somebody typically thinks of a Marine coming back and then writing a book. And I think it also struck me that you wrote it about the mom. It was cool that you wanted to make Mystic feel involved in your daughter's life. What did your daughter think whenever you said you were going to do this, or did you just write it and tell her?
I think for her, it was kind of surreal to be in the book and have her own pictures. And I think it'll be something neat for her to keep.
When he originally wrote the book, like he said, he just went and found some pictures, just Googled pictures, and literally printed out 8.5 by 11 on the computer. And it's, just random pictures with the lines. And so when we would read that to her, she's like, not a big deal. I mean, it's like you just printed. It's cool that you wrote this and we're reading it, but nothing crazy. I don't think she conceptualized in her head what it means until she saw the actual book itself. And so I think she was super excited.
How did it make you feel to know that Chris was so interested in making you feel part of her life that he went and wrote this about you?
It's awesome. Like, it's super fun. When he was writing for the blog, I loved it because I could go and read and get his perspective on situations or things that were happening and his thoughts without him actually having to tell me. And so I encouraged him to blog a lot, and I still want him to continue blogging. And so then when he wrote this book, I mean, it really shows like how big his heart is, because like you said, he cares more about me and his daughter and our relationship than he had to care. And it's heartwarming to know that it's important to him. And it is, because we are an inclusive family. When she's here, she belongs here. Of course, she does, live somewhere else full time. So it's a difficult dynamic anyways with bonus children and bonus parents. But from the very beginning, I didn't want to be a stepmom. Like he said, my friend and I had come up with this bonus mom title a long time ago. And I told her from the beginning, I was like, please, I mean, obviously she was the kid, but like, I want to be bonus mom. I don't want to be stepmom. I don't want to be any of the negative, derogatory type titles that can be established or attached to people. And so bonus was already established for her and I, and then now to turn it into a book is really cool.
What was it like when you first met her? Because at 3, what's that like?
That is my favorite age, and I've taught dance and cheerleading since I was in high school. That was like my after school and job, my college job. And so meeting him and him having a 3-year-old, I was 3.5-year-old really, I was like, this is great. And I was ready to be a mom at the time anyways. And so when we first met, we met on Tinder, and he had a picture of Keegan in his Tinder profile. And I saw her and I thought, well, this is great. Like, I'm ready to be a mom. He's already got a kid. I mean, you don't really work through the whole step family dynamic at that moment, but I did know that he had a child, and so I was ready. Like, I jumped right in. The first day I met her, we picked her up from daycare. She had like dirt all down the front of her, and we went straight home. I put her in the bath, and we did bedtime, and I mean, it was really it was very easy actually, mostly because I love that age, and it was just so fun, meeting her then. And it was before the issues that come up when kids are teenagers or even a little bit older with the attitude and you're not my mom and all that. We didn't have any of those problems in the beginning. So it really was an easy transition. Now she's 8, and some, things change sometimes. It doesn't, it's with any kid, it can be difficult, and I'm still not a biological mom. So you have to keep that in mind as you're parenting and as they grow up. But here we are 5 years later, so it works.
I think it shows a lot of commitment though to your interest in it being a solid family dynamic. I mean, I'm from a divorced household. I got super lucky that my mom and my dad and my stepdad all got along. It was very odd. It definitely makes it easier on the kids. I have some friends going through this, and they're doing such a great job, like you guys are, keeping everything together. I bet there's a lot of work behind the scenes to keep that going.
Yeah. It is. It's difficult in general, just switching households every other weekend, and rules are different here than they are at the other house. So we do struggle with those types of issues, but we're consistent. That's what's important, is that we're consistent and we're on the same team. And so we're like a united front, because kids will take over, whether they're yours, mine, his, ours, the neighbors, like kids will take over. And you have to be the adult in the situation and just be loving and compassionate and have grace, and all those things are so hard because we're human, but it's worth it in the end. And so even now, like, we have a 1.5-year-old who is our world, and they're not step siblings. They're not half. They're actually half. They're not half brother and sister. We're just brother, sister, and in this house, I'm mom and he's dad. And so it's very important, like you said, to have that child feel like that they're needed, that they're wanted, that they're loved. And my biggest issue is like when Keegan is in our house, like, I don't want to make her feel like she missed something. It's
been a balance for me, just because when she comes over, I mean, with Decker, I mean, he's so hands-on. I mean, that little guy is everywhere.
I kind of have a difficult child.
Yeah, he doesn't stop. I mean, he doesn't sleep. He's just everywhere all the time. And she's gotten to that age now where she plays and spends time with him and enjoys it. I mean, she'll go up in our front little playroom and she just plays with him for hours, and it helps us quite a bit. I think at first I struggled with Disneyland dad. Wanted to be the fun dad. Doesn't want to discipline all the time, and which is crazy from a military background that I have. Discipline is like everything. But I stepped back a lot and just tried to enjoy it with her as much as I could. And I mean, it caused some headaches, because then she wasn't out of control, but she just tried to get away with everything. And so I've had to adapt a lot to that, and she's helped me a ton with that. And so now having her here, when she's here, I'm able to balance that spending time with her, and she goes to work with me on Fridays when I pick her up, and I come home with her, and then we all kind of do things together as a family. And every time I pick her up, she tells me how much she misses, her brother and her mom and all that stuff when she comes over, and she wants to see everybody. And that's all, that's all you can ask for. So
that's what you want. I think it probably feels like a normal situation to her that she comes over and she has a dad and you are doing things like mowing the lawn together, because it would probably be more abnormal if she went and it was like party time all the time, because that's
right.
not regular life. What has it been like to tell your Marine buddies that you're now writing children's books and about bonus moms?
Yeah. I haven't told a lot of them yet. I've learned with social media, sometimes it can cause you more detriment and more, they say that, you wake up with let's say a full pizza in the morning of positive thoughts. And if you get on Twitter or Facebook and start reading negative stuff, like you start your day and it's already 90% positive, 10% negative. And I've told a few and they thought it was funny. And some of the guys at church that are military guys laughed that I told them I did this. But
he doesn't strike you as a children's book author.
No.
He's what you think of when you think of like a Marine, even a football player, because he's wide framed. He's a big guy that's like super strong, and then he's writing children's books, and it's weird. And so even telling people, they look at you like, you did what? But that's why, like I was saying earlier, it's so important that it was legit, because we didn't want people to laugh it off. And so the people that we have told have been super supportive.
The separation, the military stuff that I try to get away from, the writing helped with that. And at first I would build furniture or build things in the garage, and it gets so hot here, and you get out there and you don't have the right tools, you get frustrated, but the writing's always there. And so at any given time, these things hit me. And when I started this blog up, I've already written 3 posts that I haven't published yet that, on different things that I've just been thinking about. So as it hits me, I'll just start writing stuff down, and who knows where it's going to go. And I did a speech for Veterans Day a couple years ago at a junior high school nearby, and I enjoyed it so much. And I went into it kind of telling the kids about military stories that we did, and what makes us different, and how we adapt to things, and how we adjust to the stress and deal with it. And so it gave me this, a couple months ago, gave me this idea, and I said, what if I write a book about just Marine Corps lessons that would help you in your everyday life? And so I started writing that book as a more serious book to do. So that's kind of on my back burner. I'm slowly working on.
He is very creative. He can write, he can build, he can, like even just playing with the baby, like he comes up with stuff while giving him a bath that I would never think of. And so it's so fun to be a part of that, because it's, I just get to stand back and watch it. Like I'm more logical and planning, and this is where we got to be and where we need to go and what time we're going to leave. And he's like, okay. And it's interesting, our dynamic with each other.
It's interesting that even though they may not seem connected, the Marine life and the writing and the songwriting and everything else that you've done, in my head, when I'm hearing you talk, it really sounds like you are actually still pursuing the same thing. You're still pursuing that way to improve lives and connect with the community. Your books, the way you treat Mystic, doing the Veterans Day speech, you're still doing that. Do you feel like that is something that's super important to you?
The military thing was, I probably would have gone in after high school, Army or something, but I had that mother that basically was going to disown me if I would have done it. And so I didn't. And after, when the 9/11 thing happened.
So he joined the police department.
Yeah, I joined the police department and worked as a jailer. And I did that for 4 years, I guess. And we got attacked on 9/11. And I was just kind of sitting there going, I'm 23 years old. What am I going to do? And so I went down on my own. I actually was at Home Depot the morning it happened. And there was the day after it happened, there was a Marine recruiter there and I started talking to him, and I had signed up, taken the test and everything, and then went over to my parents' house. I did that because I felt like I needed to. And I got home, and part of me just, you want to be remembered. You want to do something that, there's an old joke, you live your life so that you have a full funeral when you die, that there's going to be people there that are going to remember for what you did. And And I guess sometimes I thought, you know, I'm going to have a funeral. No one's going to be there because I'm just a blip on the radar and I haven't done anything. And, you know, with so many guys that have lost their life overseas that never got the chance to do anything different, to me, you know, if I can do something to make a difference for somebody, it just feels like the right thing to do. I mean, I got home from that whole thing and was unscraped, and other than bumps and bruises and bad ankles and knees and stuff, I mean, I'm fine, and my mind works, and I survived it. I mean, so I keep telling her, I was like, I feel like I'm not fulfilled. I feel like I'm not doing enough. And so I've just been slowly just reaching out there, doing more, and you know, trying to see how far I can take it. So
he's always doing something for other people. I mean, he's the best husband. I mean, he cooks, he cleans, does laundry, he, you know, helps me with the baby more than most husbands do. And it's definitely a testament to his heart and how big his heart is, because it's noticeable for sure.
What is it like for you, Mystic, to be able to have something like this book to work on together?
We work really well together. I mean, we've talked about opening a business maybe one day and just thrown ideas around. So this was a fun process. I mean, other than at night, he's like, "Are you going to work on the book tonight?" And I'm like, "I'm tired," or, you know, it's late and baby finally went down, and I'm like, I really just want to drink wine and watch TV. So, you know, he's very motivating and the opposite of lazy, which is perfect. I'm not lazy by any means. He's like, "Hey, let's do this. Let's work on it. Let's get it done." And I'm like, okay. And I need that sometimes from him because I am exhausted. I have a 1.5-year-old who does not sleep. He's tired too because he helps, but it's fun working together because we do make a good team. And like, I'm looking forward to the next book.
I love it. I think it's such a great story. It's something to, you know, just really make a difference in people's lives and make the kids feel special, make the bonus parents feel special. And I love that name too. I love that it's bonus because it's such a positive connotation.
Exactly.
Anything, you know, there's just nothing negative about it. It's a bonus. Bonuses are always.
Right. Yeah, it's always a good thing.
Well, where do you guys think things are going to be in 5 years? What happens in 5 years? Is Chris a singer-songwriter? Are you a publisher of some book series like Twilight? What's happening?
Well, so as this thing came out, I was gonna, you know, we decided to do the whole bonus series, which I'm gonna, and I don't know, I'm curious on the other ones how they're gonna flow, because I feel like I'm gonna run out of rhyming words to make them work. So I haven't really dove into those other ones yet, but I actually started just because this is what happens. These books hit me, and I just sit down and I'll just start writing stuff down. And so I started a Marine dad book, and then I was going to do a Navy dad, an Army dad, a Coast Guard dad. An Air Force dad. I was going to do each one of those. Is just kind of a fun project on the side and see how they work. I think for me, the Marine lessons, the more serious book, is something I really want to do and jot down. And I just know there's so many things that, you know, that I learned that, I mean, the guys that I would be with, you know, we're about to get out of a truck and, you know, we're already getting shot at, and guys are making jokes, laughing, and they're playing 6 degrees of separation in the back of the truck. You know, just, they find these ways to de-stress themselves. And
in the middle of a combat situation,
I thought it was so weird at first, but then I joined them and it was so relaxing. And you find these ways in the middle of the worst possible situation to start laughing at something. And on top of that, the other little things that we did that taught you to be so observant. So there's so many kids, and it's sad to see this, but there's so many kids that you see get off a school bus and they're looking at their phone and they walk right by you and never look up. And I just think to myself, as sad as it is to think this, I was like, some guy could jump out of his passenger seat and grab that kid and throw him in the car, and they would never see that person because they're staring at their phone the whole time. And, you know, so the being observant and looking around and watching your strength, all that stuff's important. And I think maybe if I do this book that, you know, some of these, you know, high school kids would read it and they'd understand, and it may help them be safer in life, you know, and maybe give them some drive that they didn't already have.
If you can get to somebody and give them this advice and they actually listen and learn something from you, it's nice. I mean, it's one less thing you had to figure out the hard way. So
one of the things in boot camp, you go through this deal called the Crucible. It's a 54-hour event, and you get about an hour and a half of sleep for the whole thing. And you do these you go to these different challenges and you have to work as a group of guys, a team, to get through these challenges. I always thought that would be something fun to do too, is, take the military experience I have and try to develop something that a family can do together to just kind of bond them. I mean, that kind of stuff. I went through a Tough Mudder in 2014, and you learn a lot of things about yourself. And the guys I did it with, our respect for each other has gone up quite a bit because we worked through that together. So would be something fun to look at doing too.
I love that. And then they can get the book at the end of the race on their swag bag.
Yeah. Free book.
Whichever book is applicable at the time.
Right.
So how can people get this book? Where do they find it?
So right now it's on Amazon.com. If you just search Bonus Mom, it pops up. It's the very first book that pops up, which is awesome. We'll have it on Barnes & Noble soon. And then you can follow Chris on Twitter.
Thank you guys so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Loved hearing your stories. And thank you guys for watching. Bye.
Bye-bye.